Welcome everybody to the Tech Woke podcast. On this podcast, we talk about cyber career and life. And in today's podcast, we're going to be talking to Tameka Kirk. I met Tameka through mutual friend of mine, and she has been in the cybersecurity realm for a very long time. But I'm not going to introduce her. I'm going to let her introduce herself. So go ahead, Tameka.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chris. Thank you for allowing the opportunity to speak on cybersecurity. My name is Tameka Kirk. I have been in the realm of information technology and cybersecurity since 1993 when it first came into existence.
Oh man,
I am currently a U.S. federal government employee working at the Department of Energy in the Office of Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Emergency Response. My role there is the IT program manager. And within that role, I pretty much provide advice, analysis, direction, management to the development to enhance the organization's cybersecurity work and make sure we're doing things in alliance with all the official government standards by NIST and the other agencies.
that's great. And 1993. I was born in 1994, so you've been doing this for about 30 years. So that's a lot of knowledge. That's great. Um,
Thank you.
so yeah, so like, how's your morning going?
It's Saturday. It's going to be a beautiful day. The weather looks like it's in the 50s right now. I'm in Virginia, so it's going great. I have a few errands to run after this, but it's going great. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow, Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, me too. Super Bowl coming up, so I can't wait. And I'm glad that you're having a good morning. So Tamika,
And
so
how's
tell
your
me,
morning going thus far?
oh, my morning's going great. I'm just relaxing, have a good conversation with you, learn a lot for myself, and I'm happy that other people can learn some information too. So I'm happy. I'm giddy. So yeah, just tell me about some of your early life. How was it growing up?
Early life. Well, in my early life, there was no existence of computer technology or any of that. I'm
Hmm.
originally from Indiana.
Hmm.
Once I graduated, I didn't really know what I wanted to major in. So I went to Indiana University and just started off with our basic courses, English, math, history, and got involved with what they called then business machines. That was
Business
all
machines.
the electronic calculations and word processing and things as they were being evolved.
Well, that's interesting. So when you was at so you when you mean you graduated, you talking about college?
When I graduated high school,
Okay,
So when I
okay.
graduated high school, to me, it's like you don't know exactly what you want to major in unless you're one of those persons that know you specifically want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or something like that. Well, then you know what your chart of education is going to involve. For me, I was just knowing that after graduation, I'm going to college, and there's a realm of different things that you could study or major in, and most people change their majors or studies with 2 to 3 times, if not more. So I went in with the initial premise of, let me take my foundation courses because that's required for any degree and figure out what it is that I want to get into. So I was looking more towards business management.
Okay, so you was doing so in college. You was looking for business management. What piqued your interest into technology when you was in college, or was it in college?
Well, technology came the initial interest was within, they had a course and it was called business machines that I was
Hmm.
mentioning, and that was talking about the automation of the calculators and the old Apple Macintosh machines that had word processing, because back in this time is when the computers were really developing. There was no internet per se that we were utilizing. So it was the early adoption of information technology
Oh,
and the
nice.
electronic automation of data and word processing.
Oh, okay, I got you. So when you was in school, so I understand. So you're doing business, the business degree. So how did you when did you get your first job, or did you do any internships before? What do you,
No,
how did
I
that
did
work?
college for I did, Indiana University for my first year, and over the winter break, I decided to join the Marine Corps.
When you joined the Marines?
It
Okay.
was something I joined the Marine Corps because I figured, first year in college, party school, doing your studies, working while you're going to school as well, had a part-time job, and it had nothing to do with IT or systems. I was working at a restaurant, Red Lobster.
Mhm.
So, I was coordinating like party platters and things like that for bigger events, putting those things together. When I talked to one of my uncles, we were talking about education and school and how the government could help assist and pay for schooling. So that's when I went to talk to the Marines because they had always been after me, trying to get me to join, come into the high school, come into my track events, come into the games where I cheered. And had known for 2 years one of the recruiters, so I went ahead and took the ASVAB and talked to them about the different fields that they had, and one of the fields that they had that related to business machines that I was talking about was communications electronics. So taking that ASVAB, your score has to be at a certain level for you to qualify for specific jobs.
Mhm.
So my score allowed me to choose whatever job that I wanted. So I went
Okay.
in what they call guaranteed contracts into the communications electronics field. And that
Mhm.
gave me my introduction into IT because at that point they were utilizing the mainframe.
Okay, so he's doing the original mainframe. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm back in those days.
Okay. Did they have a punch card too?
Well,
Yeah.
not the systems that we were more in a secure environment, which is how I got into information security because I was in a communication security specialist.
Oh, okay. Okay. Can you for people that's listening, can you tell them like some of the benefits of joining the military? Other than, obviously it pays for school, but can you tell some other benefits?
I can tell the benefits, but I can also tell that in a way of how I leveraged it.
No, I understand.
So I
Good.
wanted to leave Indiana and travel,
Hmm.
have something different. My mindset going in was I can go in for 4 years and get the skill set, get the experience and the training, and if I don't like it, I can move on, but at least I've obtained education because they're gonna train you. So that was my mindset, but my mindset was also to leverage and be able to use those skills should I choose to move on. So the benefits of going into the military, it was being a young 18-year-old, you had, it discipline, they taught you discipline, they gave you the mindset of adhering to orders, being given direction, and trusting your leadership and your head officials of giving you the end results and you figuring it out of how to make that happen.
Hmm.
It also provided independence as life learning early skills to prepare you as a young adult to be responsible
Hmm. That's good.
because we had guidelines and regulations that we had to follow and stay within. We also had times where when you were in an education environment, we had to be back in our barracks, which are equivalent to like dorms in college, but we had a restriction and a time frame to be back and to do everything. So that's where that discipline, responsibility, preparing yourself, making sure you're what we call squared away, you have everything put together of what you need to do your job. So they gave you the tools, they set the foundation, and these are life learning skills that you will carry throughout your life, those basic skills and foundation. But it also gave you an opportunity to, um, in your spare time, carve out that time to take college courses where they had the MGI Bill that
Hmm.
could assist in paying. And while you were active duty, they had tuition assistance. So you can take courses along the way that's independent study, is what I'm looking for.
Okay. So okay,
And
understood.
those courses are what assisted you with moving up in the military. They gave you, for education, they gave you certain points towards making yourself marketable and promotable.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so I understood. So military did have a lot of benefits with that. I think a lot of people could, get benefits from that, especially with the GI Bill, 401ks, and even like preparing you for the jobs and job readiness. So that's all good skills that the military does help out with. I do regret not joining the military when I was younger. That's just me. But
Well, yeah, it's different for everyone, and this generation now is totally different than when I went in. But you can make it work to your benefit and advantage by doing some of the things that I looked at, leveraging it for schooling, education, learning a skill set, establishing that foundation of being a young adult, responsibility and discipline.
okay, that sounds good. So let's just jump back. So go back to your first job when you was in the military. You said you got your first contract job in introduction to IT. Was that information assurance, or could you just explain the position and what you did?
So it wasn't a contract job. I was active duty military.
Active
So
duty.
I
Okay.
was performing information, secure information over communications, meaning the mainframe was the back end of all the communications coming in. Those messages were coded, and based on the schooling I did in the military, we were able to retrieve those messages, read the codes, and understood who they were assigned to go to. So it was also leveraging the authorization of who's allowed to see what based on security clearance. You had to have a security clearance. So back in 1992, that's how I got my first security clearance, because that
Hmm.
type of job within the Marine Corps required a security clearance. So those messaging and communications that came off the mainframe, they were coded at the specific security levels of either confidential, secret, top secret, and then they were coded who they were going to. And then most of the places, let's say the general's aide was authorized and had the security clearance to come by in the morning, and they had a briefcase, and we checked them in to make sure that they're authorized to pick up what level of security classification documents and issue those to them for the day.
Okay, understood. So in a way, it was kind of encrypted. So basically, it was a form of encryption. Is
It
what I'm
was
getting at.
definitely a form of encryption,
Okay, so it's a form of
because
encryption.
it was all about the secure transmission of data across the authorized systems. And when they came in, they were printed out on this huge printer, a dot matrix printer. Most people in your generation wouldn't remember
I,
that, but the paper
yeah.
came out. It wasn't like quick laser jet. It printed off in big reams that we had to load, and we tore off the perforated edges of that paper to get it to what you're looking at now, the clean edges of 8 by 11,
Hmm.
and prepared those. You had to know where it stopped. You had to read where the messaging stopped. So you had to really pay attention to detail, was one of the biggest qualities, because you're reading and making sure you're not tearing off a message that starts for someone else.
Yeah, thinking about my generation couldn't even do nowhere near that. They probably would have ripped it up, shredded it. So that's too much pressure for us, you know?
Yes. And
Yeah,
so
but
everyone that came in contact with that type of job needed you start off with a secret security clearance, and
okay,
then
okay,
you were investigated and eligible, meeting the criteria of the extensive background investigation, to top secret, because
okay,
of the level of classified information that we dealt with.
okay. So like for this position, I understand you needed a clearance. You was in the military when you did it. Did you need any certifications back then to do this position or specialized training?
There were no certifications as it relates to what we know now in the IT field back then, but there was certain training because I went to communications security operations school, which was specifically for the military. It was one of their military occupational skills and series. So they had courses, and that school, I believe, was almost 9 months.
Okay, 9 months. Okay, to train to do it. Understood. So at least you had training. So after you was doing this position, what happened next? How long did you stay at this position, and what did you transition to?
So I stayed in that position for about 3 years. And
Hmm.
once I went through a meritorious promotion, there was an opportunity because the way that you excelled in rank was based on what level of rank they needed and what was out there across the area that you were stationed in. And my MOS was what we call top heavy, had a lot of high ranking officials. And if they were still there and didn't leave, well, that didn't leave much room for progression and advancement. So they were looking at a new field, which was computer security specialist. And
Hmm.
being that I was in a training and activities company, all of the training that was being developed for the Marine Corps came through that company. So when I saw that, spoke with my leadership, and there was a slot and opening, and I was interested in it going to computer security specialist school so that I can move into a different occupation that would allow growth. And that's how I transitioned out of that over into computer security specialist.
Okay, so what did you for this and for this position? Did their certification start coming in, or it was just mainly still training?
Certifications were not in as you know
Initially.
it as far as IT. This was more training. This was specific to the military,
Okay.
but it gave the basic foundations of computer essentials, network security, things like that.
Okay, so you just did that. And for this position, did you still deal with information with encoding, or was it something different for this position?
No, it was still about securing classified data and materials because we also had VTC crypto that we
Hmm.
did where we would configure video telecommunication systems. At that time, it was a provider like AT&T or GE, who's no longer in business, um, to encrypt during sessions of use. So we would load the crypto secure into the system, and that was changed every month, and that would allow secure video, encrypted secure video conversations between um, generals and officials at one location to a secure location where they didn't have to travel. They could sit in the conference room, see the video and audio, and everything is secure. Their conversations versus getting on a plane, traveling across to another Marine base and having that meeting.
Okay, I understand. Okay, I get it. So, okay, so I had a question. So, like, when you started making your transition to the Department of Energy, when did that start? Or how long did you stay in the military before you made that transition?
6 years.
Oh, 6 years.
I
Okay.
was in 6 years, and once I got out, I wanted to go back to school to finish my degree. Remember, I did
Okay.
1 year and then joined the Marine Corps, and I traveled a lot in my position. So my goal was to go back and finish my degree. So I wanted to have the opportunity to work because at this point it is 1998.
Okay, 1998.
And
Okay.
I know you were probably what, 4 years old. So at this point, I am looking to go back to school, finish my degree, and also work full time.
Okay, so you're back to school. So you finished your degree, and it was the same
I was
majors that
working
you.
full time.
Okay, you was working full
Yes,
time
that's when I
essentially.
joined the. So about May of 1998, because I wasn't in the area that I'm in now, I was in North Carolina. So I relocated back up this way, and pretty much was looking for a job, enrolled in school in the fall semester, and really for about 3 months on the grind, going to career job fairs. There were courses that the military do prepare you to transition out. They have classes before you get out that help you transition from the military mindset and ease back into corporate America.
Hmm.
And there were people there to help you with resume, writing a resume, and helping to equate your skills that you have to what's in the private sector that we call now like corporate America or just basics. So I went to a lot of those in between the 3 months because it took about 3 months before I came across the job that I'm at the Department of Energy. It's not this current job, it was a different job, which was in the Office of Information Technology. So I pretty much went in as a help desk technician.
Oh, you did. Okay, so you started off help desk. Okay, that's good. And you was just what was you doing as a help desk technician? And then also let me double back. Let me go back to the beginning. Back. So when you was applying to government jobs, like what are some of the resources you use? Did you use USA Jobs? What job boards did you use to apply?
I'm trying to think at that time was USA Jobs as prevalent as it was because back then a lot of the applications for government jobs, the internet was there, so I was able to do job search and just find jobs. And I was specifically looking to leverage the skills and learning that I had acquired in the military and stay within that realm. So that was one of my goals. And the other main goal was to leverage those years so I can use those towards retirement.
Hmm.
So I wanted to pull all that together and not have it be a waste or anything. So I was keying in on my internet searches for government jobs, computer security, computer operations, information technology, and they had a program in the government. I don't know if they still have it, but it might be called something else. They had something called a student career experience program.
Hmm.
And that's where you can work in the field that you're going to school. And the requirement was you had to be in school, and different organizations participate in it. It was like an internship, but you are a full time federal employee getting the benefits and going to school. So you could either work part time and go to school full time. I did work full time because I could not afford to have a part time paycheck. I worked
Okay.
full time and also went to school full time. And that was in
Okay.
the evenings. I went to school in the evenings, and I also leveraged, I went to school Monday through Thursday, and then I would take a class online.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
was
Yeah.
a full workload.
I think they still have that program. I see internship opportunity. You work while you're in school, so they still have that. So,
Well,
would
they
you
have
would
various programs. It's called, I know they have you would any department has those. Any agency, the federal agencies have that. I'm trying to think. It's not called student career experience. They have fellowships, is what they're called because they're paid. Sometimes when you think of internships, some people are have the misconception that this would be something like volunteer work. No, so they have them. They're called fellowships. They have several different programs. But what I appreciated about the student career experience program, I worked in the field that I was going to school for. When I went back to school and I went to Strayer University, I enrolled for the fall. I was going for computer information systems, is what I started out as.
okay, okay.
So I
So,
obtained a help desk job as a federal employee. I did take a pay cut from what I was making in the military only because I wanted to get my foot in the door.
yeah, sometimes you just gotta take a risk, to get where you need to go, because the benefits do help you out currently. and
It
some
was
good.
it was a tough choice because I had gone to a lot of the career fairs that they were having. I went to some career fair out in Tyson's, a career fair out in DC somewhere, and I did an interview on the spot with a company called EMC, and they were based in Lithicum, Maryland. And they offered a shift work position, but the position was in Silver Spring, Maryland, and I lived in Virginia. And being that I was in school, that position paid more. They covered training, but a lot of the work in IT is done after hours. So that
Hmm.
type of support of fixing and patching systems, I could be on my way home, and if something is down, I got to turn around and go back there. So I opted to go with the government position because I was offered both at the same time, and I really had to take that into consideration. At that point in my life, what was more important? And I think choosing to get my foot in the government, take that 5K pay cut was the best move that I chose to do.
That's great. So okay, so you did the IT position. How did you when did you start transition to your current position in information insurance? Can you explain that process?
Well, I did grow up from, well, Drake says started from the bottom, now we're
Start from.
here. And in IT, I always think that the help desk is a foundation because it gives you the basic skill set to understand how the communications and computer electronics work.
Hmm.
And excuse me, let me clear my throat. And then from there, you're able to branch off into systems administration, different
Hmm.
roles. So I started off as a desk technician, then I became the lead help desk technician. Then I moved up as the federal lead over the contractors that were doing it. Because at that time when I came in, they had the federal employees and contractor employees working and doing the same work. They revised that whole thing, and by that time, I moved into leading the help desk, and then I broke off into acquisitions and procuring the IT systems and project management.
Hmm.
And I stayed there for in that realm of infrastructure because my degree is in computer networking,
Hmm.
because I wanted to understand how the systems communicated, what made them work, not just how a computer works when you turn it on, what makes them talk in the background. So I stayed in that for 24 years before transitioning into the position I'm in now.
Okay, that's good. So
So I
you.
grew up in the ranks of IT, from help desk to, lead help desk and getting into acquisitions, and then being a support person on a project member, and then getting into project management, federal IT project management.
That's good. So, and that's what I deal with a lot when I'm on meetings. A lot of the people that's in leadership, some people that I deal with in leadership don't understand what's going on. And from your perspective, I know you're one of those that's going to give somebody some help because you know what's going on. So that's a good thing. I love that. And
And I think that's a great what your point. I think that's a great point because people can often come into management or leadership positions where you're in charge of making things happen and you have two to three different companies. But if you don't have the foundation and they're talking a certain computer or IT lingo, you're not going to understand what they're saying. It
I
is
agree.
great to always have an understanding of the work that you're doing so that no one could run what I call a muck over you. You know that they're saying something to be true and you can speak the language, and it's always good to have an understanding.
Yeah, because like for me, I deal with people with vulnerabilities, and when I'm talking to the system administrators or engineers, they're always saying, "Hey, we just need to run this quick. This patch is not available, and things like that." So I go look it up, and I say it is available, and you can literally just do it right now. It takes 5 minutes. So that's the thing I deal with. So and you do information assurance. So like, can you tell? So you do with the risk management framework.
I am just getting into knowing more about the risk management framework. I actually just was on a webinar earlier this week about it. I am in information security and, still working in the realm of securing the data, data governance, and I deal with the policies and implementation and enforcement of those policies.
Okay, so if somebody's trying to get in, what would be some good resources? I would assume in this guidelines, but if you know any other ones for somebody to study, you can name some if you want.
Great question. So, along with the NIST guidelines, which they set the standards across the federal government and industry does follow those as well, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, known as CISA, they have worked with academia and put together what they call the NICE framework.
Mm-hmm.
NICE stands for the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, and is specifically for the cybersecurity workforce. So, what that does is help align related skill sets, jobs, and training to specific cybersecurity roles. And that you can find more information on CISA.gov,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a big thing in the government right now,
Mm-hmm.
because we are behind with keeping up with what the private sector and industry are doing as far as the skill sets, as you talk about certifications which relate to affecting salaries and pay. We'll have a skill set on the federal side, but of course the private sector and industry are paying more, so people were leaving the federal government. They are leaving the federal government to
Okay.
work in the private industry, because they felt they had better opportunities, better salaries, which when you look at the numbers don't lie. That is where it is. However, this nice framework is going to be leveraged and utilized not only for federal government, but across private and public sector. So this is like the template. And within that nice cybersecurity framework, it helps you chart your course and where you want to go in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a huge field, just like information technology.
Mm-hmm.
Cybersecurity has different realms of whether you want to be an analyst, whether you want to be doing what you just mentioned, which is doing the risk management and the vulnerability management. This framework has so much information to tell you what's involved and what knowledge, skill sets, and abilities you need for that specific role. It'll break down roles, it'll break down um, related skill sets, but then because I believe it's 7 categories, and then they have like specialty areas under the 7 categories, and then they have what equates to what we're calling work roles. So there are, for my role, for instance, it's information technology program management and information security. There's a framework that I can go to. It'll tell me what types of training and any other specialty areas within program management, project management, things like that. It's a great tool to determine the skills and type of training you need when you're interested in getting into specific cyber positions. I am loving it.
That's good. Hope people listening, make sure you look that up and get that information so you can have better guidance. I had a question too with this. Do you use like a risk management software, like for example, emails, or like what's another one? Like there's a couple of them. Do you use risk management software for your program?
For my program, my job, I'm more on the policy and
Policy.
implementation as far as
Okay.
enforcing. What you're speaking of would be done more on the back end and the infrastructure of the people loading software and monitoring the systems.
Okay,
That
that's right.
usage would be done by the cybersecurity specialists within your infrastructure and network.
Okay.
So
And just
no,
so
I don't utilize software, but I know that they are using some sort of software. It's just outside the realm of what I'm involved in.
Okay, understood. And just for people unwise listening, when she's talking about implementation or the monitoring phase, those are the 7 steps of the RMFs. So people can understand what we're talking about. And
Yes, and with the NICE framework, they also have the area of risk management, and they will break down. It does break down the type of skills, training, what that involves, and it'll give you what type of positions you could put in cybersecurity to look up whatever job, but you want to know what does this specific type of job, what does program management, what does risk management involve? And that will allow you to create your own outline of how you want to chart your cyber career. Some
okay, yeah,
people want to sit in a security operations center and do the monitoring and look at the systems and make sure they're good and go ahead and triage any errors and things like that. Some people don't want to be involved in that. They want to do other things. So my point basically is that the cybersecurity field is huge, and you can use NIST, CISA, and NICE to help give you a better understanding, a better guidance of mapping out how you want your cyber career to even get started. It's a lot of great information that's been put out there.
yeah, I agree. People think when you hear cybersecurity, that's all they hear think about is hackers. I'm a hacker, computer, or hack this. But there's so many things you can do. There's non-technical and technical things you can do.
Right. There's the technical. Someone has to approve that. Like myself, I'm an authorizing official. So the policies and the people doing the technical work, and they bring this to me for a specific system. And, we meet about it and know that, okay, this is good. If there are any risk involved, there's a whole realm of things that go into the whole overage of cybersecurity. And I know I mentioned NIST and CISA and NICE, but because you and I have emails, I will share the links to the information that I'm mentioning with you so that you can share it with others.
100%. I'll definitely do that. Okay. What would can you just name some of the benefits of working in the government? Just a couple.
The benefits of working in the government are, most people would say, job security.
Hmm.
But within that job security, you have other benefits that I guess I'm a little impartial only because I came from the military and went straight into government. So they are
Hmm.
equivalent in my eyes of, the medical benefits that you get, the opportunities for training that you get, the opportunities to align yourself with a mentor, someone. The government's big on that, on bringing up the upcoming leadership. There are leadership opportunities. There's plenty of training to get you into management or prepared. The opportunities are there. So that's a great benefit. The other benefit is that you just involved with all kinds of experience, people, knowledge, and networking capabilities, because you not only network with government officials, you also network with the private sector companies that work with the government, that support the government and the agencies. And you have opportunities to attend webinars, you have opportunities to go to conferences to further network.
That's good. The network is all key.
There are people I see at conferences now that I met back in 2000. And I go to different conferences and run into them, and they work for Google or Microsoft. And there are Microsoft people that I worked with in my old position that now work with on the cyber side and information side, because that's where everything is going. Cybersecurity is a leading skill set that's in high demand.
Yeah, it's just about networking. It's just networking is key. If you don't network, it's gonna be hard to move up in your career. And then
It is, but you get to meet great people like you and I have met through
yeah, most definitely.
someone knowing me and what I do who works with me, and she's friends with the person you know. That's how we are able to collaborate. And
Most
then as
definitely.
people listen to the podcast, they'll go and check out resources, and then one day they will be sharing the same information and guidance on to others that are trying to get into the cybersecurity workforce.
Yeah, most definitely. So I had this is the last
Now,
question. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, I'll let you ask the last question. Then I wanted to share something that's upcoming that would be helpful for people. I just had that in my head so that I wouldn't lose it. So go ahead, Chris.
No, just say it right now. I don't know. I don't want you to forget. Go ahead and say it right now.
Okay. Um, the Cybersecurity Career Week, which is the NICE framework this year, is October 14th through the 19th, 2024. And what this is a way to promote the discovery of cybersecurity careers, share resources, learning pathways, and credentials and careers that lead to what's identified in the NICE framework for cybersecurity. So, again, the Cybersecurity Career Week is October 14th through 19th. You can find that on NIST.gov. You can find it, you're going to see it mentioned, but I know we're in February. Just wanted to share that because that's a great area, whatever they have. I don't know if they're going to have podcasts or if they're going to be in specific locations. I'm sure they will have virtual capabilities too, but a lot of information.
Okay, I'm gonna definitely see if I can attend myself on that one. Because it's hard to find good conferences. I'm gonna probably go myself. Yeah. So, just for the final question, do you view, can you, for certifications, can you recommend some certifications people to get in cybersecurity? And also then in the double on that, do you think certifications or actual uh, work or, internships which is better, internships or certifications? And then just to sum that up.
They both are needed. So the first part for cybersecurity certifications, if you're an individual that has no and understanding of information technology, I would always say to start off with some basic foundation courses, such as like the A plus, which will talk to you about hardware and operating systems, because that is the foundation of the computer system. And that's the lingo they're going to talk when you're getting more into the next certifications as Network Plus, Security Plus. Then after you obtain those, as you're going up, it would be the CISSP
Hmm.
for the cyber information security professional, or the certified information security manager if you're going the management route. You
Hmm.
want to have that basic understanding. The CISSP, I see more of the cyber analysts and technicians that are doing the work. They have that one. But when I see information system security officers, they're coming in with either the CISSP because they were once cyber techs, or they're coming in with the CISM for the certified information security manager.
That's some good
And there
certs.
was another part of the question that you wanted me to
What,
answer.
which is, in your opinion, better? Do you think cybersecurity certs are uh, better, or you think more internship route is the technical? Would you, if you're hiring? Okay, let me just reword it a little bit better. If you're hiring somebody, do you take the cert in account, or do you take the experience in account?
Where I am currently, and if it's a federal job, they're looking at right now, because we're going to change the standards to more aligned with what industry has. But right now, we're looking at experience. But those government contracts, the contractors, the private sector that work and support our organization and office, they have requirements for certification. So it's not that one is better, you need both. And I will say, as you get the foundation, understand the certifications give you the book knowledge, the scenarios, the understanding skill sets. But when you go to an organization, remember this: no matter how much you know, they will have their own set of processes and procedures. So it's good that you have an understanding based on obtaining education, training, and certifications. But when you get into the real hands on, you're going to be following the processes that that organization or that team has set up, if that makes sense.
No, that
So
makes
there
complete
is a
sense.
need to have both, to have the education, get the certifications. The certifications help you to be more marketable as it relates to either applying for private sector jobs or even federal jobs, because they are now going to align and require certifications within the federal government as well.
Okay, that sounds good. And that's pretty much it. I just had one last question, Tameka. What's your goals for the next 5 years? I
Goals
always,
for the next 5 years.
I always ask.
Okay, so right now I am looking at the same resources that I've shared with you all, the NIST and the NICE framework, because I am within the federal government and also working with some of the cybersecurity workforce group to set standards. So for my own personal growth, I want to do the CISM, hone in more on risk management framework. So get some of those that training and certs under my belt, and then move into, my goal is to one day be chief information officer or chief technology officer.
That's great. Great goal. You'll do it. You'll do it. Just take time.
And one more resource that I didn't mention, but you and I have had several conversations: SANS, SANS, the SANS Institute.
Hmm.
They are a wealth of knowledge. They have free training. You can Google SANS, go to their website. They have some paid training, some type of certification paths, and also free training. So leverage the tools that are out there and get those opportunities that are available.
Yeah, make sure everybody you check that out. And I already been checking that stuff out because I talked to Tameka a while ago. So make sure you check it out. This is all good for information, and it'll help you in your cybersecurity journey. Um, and so I'm about to pretty much end it. Did you? Yeah, I talked to Tameka. I remember she told me she didn't have any socials. But other than that, everybody, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, everybody, get 1% better every day. Peace out, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.